Sup? This is Greggatron. How are y'all? Happy Sunday. So, yesterday I went to a con. Not QuadCon this time. This was a Midwest toy and comic fest. Still a con. Really good stuff. This was probably one of the best cons I've ever gone to. If it wasn't the best one, probably the second best, but it was incredible. It really was. As you can see, I got all kinds of cool stuff. When I first walked in, it's just this big open area, and I'm trying to circle the place before I spend a penny because I don't know what all is in there. And that's the way I like to do it because you don't want to get carried away in the wrong way. If you get carried away in the right way when you kind of know what's there, right? So, man, when I first walked in, I saw this young man with a thing of nunchucks on his shoulder. I'm like, this guy's a pair of nunchucks. Huh. Interesting. That was a green flag immediately. I knew, okay, that means there might be a sword guy here. So I'm kind of walking around specifically looking for that. And once I find the sword guy, it's like the rest was history, right? So I'm talking to the sword guy. He's got all this stuff. And the more I'm looking around, I finally find this. This is Kenpachi's Araki sword from Bleach, the Soul Reaper. He was what you would call, they were called like masters or something. Or no, he was a captain. That's what they were called. He was a captain of his own squad, essentially. Anyway, he's my favorite Soul Reaper in Bleach. And I've been wanting that sword for a while. Because the first time I went to a QuadCon, I saw that, but I didn't have the money for it. I ended up getting Kenshin Himura's sword and Mugen's sword from Samurai Champloo. Well, fast forward, I went to a different one and the guy was supposed to be there, but he wasn't there. So fast forward to this event, there's a different sword guy. He had it. And ironically, I looked for this sword on the internet, but it was a lot smaller than this one. So no, I want the long sword. As you can see, this thing is long as heck. Now, I will do a separate review on this sword because it's that special. Alright. Well then, I'm talking to this dude and he's got all types of replicas of guns and all kind of stuff. So he had the Bayonetta gun. Y'all know Bayonetta. And I love Bayonetta, right? I'll talk about that signature in a minute. But this is really nice. They're more like props than actual replicas. I think this was like 30, 35 bucks. Really nice. Now, if you look at this, right? This is the signature to the good voice actor from Dragon Ball Z, Stephanie Nadolny. Stephanie Nadolny. Very nice woman. She plays Gohan's voice, you know, Kid Gohan and Kid Goku. I met her and her husband. They were really nice. She had a bunch of prints of Gohan and other characters that she could have signed. And I was like, I don't really need any more prints. I got plenty, but we had a nice little talk. Well, then I walked off, and I was like, wait a minute. Why don't I get her to sign one of these? So she signs the good gun for me, and that was nice. And you can see what she wrote on there. Her name, Gohan, Kid Goku, DBZ. And we had a nice little talk. Very nice lady. Alright. Back to the sword guy. I saw these two, and I knew they looked familiar. Let me get a little closer for you. I was like, I know these from somewhere. I was like, where are these from? He's like, Devil May Cry. I was like, I knew it. Yes. I had Devil May Cry on 360 back in the day. Devil May Cry 4 it was. So I was like, ah, man. So those are nice. These are called Ebony and Ivory. They're, these twin pistols. And I might review these too. These are kind of slick. It's like foam. Different areas is kind of harder than others, harder plastic, but for the most part, it's like a kind of like a foam, some type of styrofoam or something. Very nice. I also got from the sword guy this knife. This is Jason, the Red Ranger. Right, can't go wrong. This guy had so much stuff. He had the batarangs from the Dark Knight. He had some Lord of the Rings swords. He ended up having a lot of different anime swords. Oh, he had Han Solo's gun. He had Boba Fett's gun. He had the gun from Halo. He had a Lancer from Gears of War. I mean, a lot of stuff this dude had. So he was like my favorite person there. So, speaking of the sword guy, right? Well, I'll get to this in a minute. So, there's a guy who was selling magnets, tons of magnets. He cut me a little deal on these. They were like $3 a piece. So, what was it? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. He sold it to me for like 15 or something like that. So, I ended up leaving. Well, some of the magnets were like stuck to other magnets. So I took some home on accident, right? I stole some. I was like, oh crap, I can't do that. So I go back, use that as an excuse just to go back, return the magnets. And while I was there, that's when I got this. As y'all know, this is Mjolnir. This is Thor's hammer, all right? And it's actually pretty heavy, and it's magnificent. So what I will do, just to be fair to you guys, I'm going to make a separate review for Mjolnir and Kenpachi's sword, and possibly the pistols. Just to respect you guys' time, but as you can see, this thing is stone cold solid. And it comes with a base. I'll talk about that. Let's come over here. I got this scooter for my nephew who is about to turn 5. He loves Power Rangers. This was supposed to be $70. Well, the guy gave it to me for $50. And with that, he threw in a coloring page for my nephew. He's old enough to color, right? He should be able to stay inside the lines somewhat. And that's the event. Here, let me set it back down so you guys can see it. Midwest Toy and Comic Fest. You got the voice actor, or no, was it the voice actors or the creator of Ed, Edd n Eddy? He was there. I think it was the voice actor. The voice actor who played Squidward, he was there. And then the lady who plays Goku and Gohan, she was there. And then a guy who had worked on the Mortal Kombat games back in the day, he was there. So that's what that image is supposed to be. Speaking of Prince, there's a guy there with his sons. He had a lot of different stuff. This one kind of stood out to me. I was like, wow, that's so cool. And it's signed. They all come signed. I was like, wow. So he told me that he calls this President. Get it? You got the good coin and guy we trust. I told the guy I love Two-Face and I love Trump. And we had such a good conversation, man. And I had a good conversation with a bunch of people there. Everybody was having a good time. I mean, everybody. But everybody there was super friendly, super polite. But yeah, this is cool. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I like it because his hair stands up on the side like in the animated series. That's dope. There's a guy there. This is him. He was selling different things. He calls himself the time traveler from 2005 back to 2005. So he made his own PlayStation game back in the day. Super cool dude. And he had a PS2 with him, but something had happened to it to where they couldn't play it. Something was wrong with their PlayStation or their TV or something. I was like, oh man. Well, anyway, he made his own game. And then he was selling these shirts too. This shirt, I might wear it to work tomorrow. It says DVD and chill. Like, that's right up my alley. I love DVDs and I love to chill. Alright? So you got that. This was 15, 20 bucks. The magnets were pretty cheap. The knife, about 20 bucks. The pistols, these were overpriced because I looked them up later. It's all good. Now, one of my favorite items has got to be this. Alright, so this shirt, oh my gosh. When I saw this, I was like, what? So this guy, he had mad tables set up with folded clothes, but then he had like a backdrop with a bunch of these hanging up. And none of them have any sleeves, right? That's just the style. He came all the way from Houston, Texas, I think he said. I'm like, you came to Illinois from Texas? Whoa. So we had a really great conversation. My homie showed up, the one who likes the Autobots. I showed him this guy. He ended up buying the Autobot version. It's a blue... It's a vest. It looks like a jacket, though, but it's a vest. So I wore mine yesterday to a birthday party, and then he wore his to wherever he ended up going. So we're sending pictures to each other. It was so dope, man. But we got to talking at the event, and we're talking to the vendor who sold us the shirts. I think his name was Scott. And then the sword guy, his name was Brian. Shout out to them. Well, anyway, we're talking to Scott, and we're just saying, it's just great that we can spend our money and have fun while doing it. Because who wants to spend money on things they dread, like bills, grown-up stuff, right? But we were talking about like saving money and whatnot. And we're saying, it's great to be able to have some money behind you so you can freaking play around, so you can mess around. Because if I was broke, I would have not bought any of this stuff. You feel me? So you gotta treat yourself at some point. And a lot of this stuff could be a gift. This is definitely a gift for my nephew. So is that. This, I have a friend who I told you about weeks ago who she loves Thor. And I thought about getting this for her. But I was like, nah, she already got her gift. I'm keeping this for me. The point is, it's good to be able to have some throwaway money to where you can treat yourself. Because one thing about me is I like buying my friends gifts. You know what I'm saying? Like if I see something that's up somebody's alley, I'm like, oh man, this person would love this. Case closed. This was definitely one of the better cons. Like I said, everybody was just so welcoming. I was talking to this dude. He had the Ben Reilly jacket on. Spider-Man, the clone. We got to talking about Ben Reilly. I saw so many people with Spider-Man shirts. I saw a mother and daughter duo. The mom was Android 18, and the daughter was Android 17 from Dragon Ball Z. I mean, this was just incredible, man. They had a competition for the costumes. There was a Deadpool who was really great. I was talking to this lady at this table. She was saying her whole family, they do it on the side for fun. So she was showing me her laptop, and she had all these different family members who were dressed up as Wolverine or Deadpool or Lady Deadpool, and just all Gambit, all kinds of stuff, man. It was beautiful, man. This was a treat. And the sword guy, he was cool as hell. we got to talking. And I kept seeing more stuff. And I was like, oh man, I was like, you jerk. I said, I'm supposed to be spending money over there with them guys. And he's like, they'll be alright. They'll be alright. I was like, what you mean? He said they should have had some better stuff. I was like, you're right. You are right. He said, they'll manage. He said, you're in the right place right here. And then about the hammer, he was saying, this is the last one. So I was telling him, I got to get it now because if I don't, I'll regret it. And if that happens, I'll have to mess around online, and you got shipping and handling, and it might not look the same as the picture. And online can be a mess. It can be a hassle. So the bottom line is, I had a dang good time, and I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad you guys can watch this awesomeness. And I will see you in the next video. The Greggatron movie came out today also. It's already a banger. Check it out and let me know what you think. All right. Signing off and peace.